Welcome to the SharkPod, the podcast that explores business and lifestyle design in Ireland and beyond. And now, live from Greystone Studios, here are your hosts, Luke Curry and Mark Baker.
What is up, SharkNation? I'm here with my brother-in-law, Mark Baker, back in Greystone Studios. We're delighted to be back here. We're giving a big shout out to our international fans as well. We've had some feedback saying that we need to maybe broaden it out a little bit because there's people in the Philippines, there's people in Australia. You know, I don't know if I've told you this.
No, you haven't, no. I know there's people over there, but I didn't know they were listening to us.
Yeah, they are big shark. There's sharks everywhere, it seems like.
Yeah.
Basking shark, no, so. Yeah, so it's been...
We got some great whites in Australia, yeah?
Yeah, great whites in Australia.
Yeah.
So there's Australians out there that they're getting involved with the SharkPod, and there's people in Spain, France.
Really?
Yeah. So
I gotta speak more clearly, so.
Exactly, and we never thought that there'd be that many people maybe listening to this.
Yeah.
So now
No pressure.
No pressure. But we're no, it's great though because we're expanding our kind of our reach. Hopefully, people are getting something out of this. You'd imagine, you know, if it's kind of spreading like that, maybe it's spreading mostly by word of mouth. I'd say because I don't know anybody in the Philippines.
Yeah. I don't know how it spreads really. I suppose we put it up on our social media. It's all of social media, and then people saying it to their friends and stuff, and if they're of that kind of same mindset. I suppose it takes a while for people to understand what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
It's not, National Geographic stuff. Or
a few people have asked me that. What's the podcast about? And it's hard to put it in one.
Well, a brand doesn't have to be descriptive. It should just take care of itself then after a while. So it's all about, as we said before, just consistency, just doing something every week.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's
great.
well.
And we've got some great interviews already in the can this year. We're only getting started as well. We've got some great stuff lined up. I've been kind of reaching out to different people. So many. It's like the positivity out there is something that I didn't really think that we'd have so quickly. I know we only started this last month. But we're getting great feedback. Anyone that I've asked to be on the podcast has either been delighted to come on, but they're really busy. We just got to figure out the schedule. Or they're like, I'm not. Like, they're saying that they don't have enough to say to cover an hour.
Yeah, well, I think we've proved that.
Yeah, you can just
wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, then again, the feedback is kind of skewed in our favor. Not a lot of people going to be contacting you saying, "Yeah, your podcast should show you."
Yeah. No, maybe I'm just like, it's rose-colored glasses. I'm like, these guys, they love us, but really, they're saying, instead of saying that they don't have enough content to talk about, they just don't want to talk to us. Maybe it's kind of a little bit of both. What I found very awkward, and this is kind of I don't know, it's kind of I don't want to, like that Irish thing where people are like, who does your man think he is? Because I want to avoid that type of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're only doing this for fun. There's no notions or anything, right?
Yeah,
we're just doing this because
it's quite simple, easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say that you've done everything, but once you get it, it doesn't take a lot of equipment really. You can get the basics. Yeah.
Like we're pretty much set up.
Yeah.
But still, sometimes I've been bumping into people who have been listening to the podcast, and they are, they're really happy about it. They're enjoying it. They're, getting something from it. And then they'll say it to their friend. And I find this the most awkward thing in the world. I don't know why. They're like, "Oh, Luke started a podcast there, and it's it's really interesting to check it out." But when I'm there, like I want people to do that. I want people to spread the word.
Yeah.
But when I'm there, I find it so awkward. It's like I feel like they're like, "Oh, really?" It's very strange. I don't know. So it's just something that we have to deal with. But like even Katie was saying, her friends are saying it to her as well, saying like, "Luke, have a podcast. What's it about?" And Katie said that it's lifestyle mastery or something, she said, which is not our tagline.
Mastery. Not there,
yeah, exactly. So thanks for the shout out, Mrs. Curry.
With audio and podcasts, like you kind of just have it in one ear as you're walking around, half listening to a long form. Often I listen to long form stuff and I miss half of it, but it doesn't really matter. Like it's not like a documentary. It's not like a TV show that you have to follow, or unless you're listening to those serial killer ones where you kind of have to keep a close ear.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes that's why I've kind of fall out of those ones with the series, because I'll be doing something. I'm like, wait, where'd that knife go?
Yeah.
Or, like, do you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
if you're in the gym or something, although I outlaw myself. Outlaw was the wrong word for that, but I try to not listen to I try not to listen to like a podcast in the gym because it puts me into kind of a malaise. I'm kind of listening to that.
No, that's the last thing
I want to
you
listen to country music. I don't know why that gets me going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I had listened to this one song by Luke. What's the last name? I forget it now. Anyway, but it's called Harvest Time, where it's like, you know, it's all about getting on the tractors and stuff. That's not my life, but it speaks
Not
to
yet.
not yet. Like I'm almost there. I'm living a
But
great.
it's quite upbeat country songs, most of
It's
them.
upbeat.
Yeah.
A lot of positivity.
Yeah.
A lot of let's just be ourselves.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
We're not changing for nobody, and I kind of resonate with that. So I know sometimes the country people come on over to Ireland. They do this concert called Country to Country, and it's kind of like a lot of the big stars come to Ireland. So me and my wife are going to be going to that. She doesn't know that, but and she's gonna hate it as well.
This is a new development.
Yeah, living that country life.
Yeah.
So I was actually in the gym last night on Friday, which is like, I know this sounds weird. I love going to the gym on a Friday night, right? Not every Friday, because I know that's kind of not very social. But you know when you're doing something while everyone else is doing something that isn't making them better.
Yeah, well, I drive by the Fly Fit where we live, and on a Friday sometimes I'm coming home from work and I just look in and I can see everyone working out. It does make you feel guilty when you're not there.
Exactly. Not only that, I start to get really judgmental on a Friday night. I don't know why. So I'll be here and I'll be saying, okay, I'll be doing my workout, whatever, and then people start to leave, and then I say to myself, yeah, he's gone off to do some weak shit. I'm not going.
People can't enjoy themselves.
I'm like, yeah, he's going to go enjoy your weakness. I'm not. I'm just getting started. Where are you going? What's a 9:30? You got somewhere to be?
Loser.
Yeah, loser.
They're going out enjoying themselves.
I know. I'm just there lonely as usual. So so that's been great. But we're delighted everyone's listeners are it's really taken off. We got really great feedback as well from our podcast with Shay. Kind of the local hero thing really spoke to people. I think he did a great job promoting it as well.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is, we talked about it before, but we're going to have maybe an alumni meetup at the end of the year. Get all the people who are on the podcast, or at least invite them to a meetup or something like that.
I think if you put Oliver and Shay in the same room, that crematorium business might actually kick off.
It might take off, and Oliver, he's just a great guy.
He got a super response as well from
super response.
Yeah.
And I was over. Actually, you know what? I might put a picture of him. He invited me over to his house for a dinner party the other day. And the first thing I did, he handed me a big, he's a wonderful guy, right? So he wants to be a great host. That was his whole thing for the dinner party. He hands me a big glass of red wine. My first thought is, be careful. It's his apartment. It's nice. It's in town, right? He's got this nice white rug. Let's just take it easy here, right? So what I did is I sat down and spilled my red wine all over their beautiful new rug. So I've
were you hating on him? You're like, look at him having wine on a Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, weak shit. Yeah, it's a weak fit.
So how much was the new rug then?
Yeah, he's gonna send me a bill, and no, he won't send me a bill. That's the annoying part. I would love him just to be like, yeah, just buy me new one.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, he came out with I don't know where he got all the salt, but he had a huge amount of salt that he put on it to suck out the wine. So anyway, I'll give you guys the update on what happens.
He probably
there.
killed a polar bear to make that rug.
Exactly,
You never know.
with his bare hands. But he made us a great dinner and all that type of stuff. But I have this wonderful picture of him in a what do you call them? The apron that I might put up on SharkNation as well. Just kind of keep the keep an eye on what that guy. See what's
definitely.
going on. We're also going to get him back on the podcast maybe 6 months from now, and we'll give him a proper mic so he won't sound like he's underwater.
Yeah, he sounded like he was like a pilot.
Yeah. It's but that was pretty great as well. So listen, how has it's been kind of a week and a half really because we have this kind of mezzanine podcast with Barry who
last
came
week.
in. That was last week, yeah. So how's your week been? I know we're kind of like just over a month into the year. How's the recruitment business? What's going on there?
Good. Well, last night was we actually had a night out with Darwin Hawkins. I was telling you, we went to Crew. It's a place run by a guy called Conor Macron. So he's mates with
Macron or Macron?
Macron.
Okay, sorry,
Macrohan. As some people say.
Okay.
But Ronan is a mate of mine. He actually works with us, and so it's his brother. So it's a new place out in Capel Street. Oh, it's amazing. It's what did I say it was? Like
Creole.
Yeah, kind of like New Orleans or New Orleans. I don't know. How you
Orleans.
New Orleans. How
New
you
Orleans.
say?
Yeah, New Orleans.
Yeah. So very, very full after that. I tell you.
And was it a big place? Is it kind of like, is it one of those places that opens now that kind of, or you said that it's owned by somebody, because generally there's like these places in town. I'd love to get the press up guys.
Yeah.
Who own the nightlife in Ireland.
Yeah.
But it all kind of feels a bit, this isn't a criticism, but when you go into a press up place,
Yeah.
it's a level of quality, kind of a band of quality that they're in. Right?
Yeah.
So when I walk in there, and it's usually some girl's name that's on the thing, like Angelina's or it's not Sophie's. It's always like something like that. So my point is it? I thought it might be something that they're involved in, but it seems like
no. Connor owns, I think, Riot as well. It's on the quays in town. It's a bar. It's like kind of like a late bar type thing. But no, the effort that's gone into it, like when I appreciate anything that's done really well.
Yeah.
But like everything is done so well. They went over on a fact finding mission to New Orleans.
That's what they were calling it. That's what they said to their wives. Anyway, they're like,
yeah.
I have to go to New
So
Orleans.
it's Crew, Krewe.
Shout out to Crew.
Yeah, drop out to them. So that was last night, and we had a good night, and so this coffee's helping this morning. But
Nice. You had your Jaws mug there, keeping on brand, which we always like here on the SharkPod. Okay, so
we went to the month. It's been a good month. What are we, a month in? Busy, a lot. It seems a lot busier now than maybe this time last year, because of Brexit, I think, as well. Look, we were starting off as well, but like.
Yeah.
People kept everybody you met was mentioning Brexit.
Yeah.
But now nobody's mentioning it anymore. Really. Not really at all. It's like
a
there's a combination of people are fed up talking about it. What it is often just like a conversation starter, or it's like a gap filler in a conversation. Yeah. So, what about Brexit? But people are just kind of like, it's been talked, it's been done to death. Yeah. But now we've seen it's a lot busier. So things are looking good. And in recruitment, you get kind of like a good macro view of the economy as well. Because
you're plugged in.
Yeah, very plugged in. Yeah, that's great. So things are going well, it seems, in general, and we won a nice little award as well for our first year.
Nice.
Yeah. So
got some crystal.
Yeah, or I don't know what it is, but glass maybe.
James Caan, come on.
So we're best new company last year, best
Nice.
new recruitment company. So
You didn't tell me that what it was for. I just thought it was just like
a token of appreciation.
Appreciation award. That's
No,
a real slap in the face. I was thinking. It's
Yeah.
like,
Everybody got one.
we have no kind of like specific thing that you did well in, but we appreciate what you're doing. It's not for me. But
It was a combination of, like, obviously monetary, like we done well when it comes to revenue and profit, growing the brand, all the kind of typical things that you start up. And it's hard to get them all done well, but we feel we've got all the whole package, I think, in the first year done well. So
cool. So you're getting recognition from the big guys, of the investors in the original idea. You're flying over to London.
Yeah,
it's all champagne popping over there and all that type of stuff, and then you're back hard at work.
Well, we flew, myself and Niall flew over. It was a big event in London, a place called Plasterers Hall in London. So there's about 20 different companies there, and we flew in at because it was a Thursday and we wanted to still work, so we had like three big meetings that morning, and lunchtime. Then we flew over for I think it was like the 5 o'clock flight. Got in there for 7, changed in the toilets into
Nice.
our tuxedos, and went in, took our crystal, and then left and went home in the morning. So we didn't stay out long. So in and
Nice.
out, and then we were back in. I was at my desk at 10 a.m. on Friday.
It's a great thing about the UK, how it's just a market that's 10 times the size of the Ireland market. And it's incredibly close. I've been noticing that because I'm working with a UK partner now, and I told them I met one of the guys there, the sales guys, this week, and he's over kind of like 2 or 3 days a week over to Liverpool, whatever, And I was saying to him, I never sold anything in the UK now.
That's mad.
I've always been, right now, I'm up to like 10 countries selling software in, never actually in the UK. So for me, I didn't realize how close it is. So I think if you were to, there's a few areas. So if you were to launch a new like software product or something like that in Ireland, I think there's a few really big markets really close to us that we never really think of. The UK is one, okay? 13% of our exports go to the UK, or 14%, right?
Okay.
13% of our exports go to Belgium. That's a huge market.
Really? I didn't know that.
The Belgians, they're loving the Irish stuff, the cheese, all that type of. It's not the high end stuff that's going to Belgium, but my point is, you can fly to Brussels in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You can fly to Amsterdam in just under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like that's not a big commute. We can have like a circle of a 2 hour radius that could be your target market. So when you're starting a business in Ireland, you got to think way outside the box. All those places speak English as well. Belgium, not so much. But the Dutch, perfect English. The English, they invented it. Right? so that's,
and it's not just London. Is it Birmingham is the second biggest?
Yeah, Birmingham, population bigger than Ireland. So
that's mad. Yeah.
we punch above our weight completely.
Yeah.
I was speaking to somebody this week where in work, and he'd live in, I think it was Wuhan. Shout out to Wuhan right now. They're having a tough time with the virus, and they're all locked in their house and stuff.
Okay, jeez.
But he was saying there's like 9 million people in that city that he was living in, and I was like, just more than double the size of Ireland, and we want our seat at the table. We're at the EU, at the UN, and all. We punch above our weight, which is great.
It's just the amount of opportunity out there. I mean, you think of how big you can build a company in Dublin alone. What we're kind of focusing on at the moment. It's small, but it's a huge niche. Like, it's a deep niche. And then you have like London on your doorstep, essentially. London City Airport is actually that we flew into. It was really handy.
Yeah.
Really handy.
I've never gone to that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's so handy.
It's
You're
like
in and out, and in a taxi, you're at
do
your
you go
destination.
like CityJet or something? Is it the? Or do
was it British Airways maybe? I don't know. Can't remember.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my week has been so interesting, right? So I'm building this new channel, new partner system. Every time I think that we've got to a level where I understand how big the opportunity is, I understand what the market size could be, I'll speak to one of the partners, or I'll speak to somebody who has worked with similar partners, and then it's just orders of magnitude bigger. Do you know? So there's really these levels to this game. So when we're doing direct sales, I feel like we're only scratching the surface, right? So I spoke to some people recently about the type of deals that they had been doing, and if we could do one or two of those deals in a year, it would make my year. Do you know that type of way?
Yeah.
So I'm flying over to Berlin next week. I'm going to set up my new partners out there. Great guys. I met with them on Friday. Super excited about that. Never did any business in Germany. There's going to be new challenges there. We just did some training and work about the data protection stuff.
Yeah, you were saying, yeah.
Like, it's gonna limit our strategy. We've got to pivot because on the SharkPod we talked about how we like to get after it, reaching out to people and stuff like that. In Germany, you really can't do that. So we have to figure out a way.
Now, somebody has already figured out a way, I assume, over there.
Yeah,
and you just have to speak to those people.
Exactly.
If they're listening in Germany.
If they're listening in Germany, Luke at shark.ie.
Yeah.
We'll reach out and help out a strategy on this. We're going to figure it out. There's no excuses or anything like that, but the type of deals that we can do in Germany are going to be massive. We're also going to go into Switzerland.
Is it worth telling people what the product is to give context?
Yeah, maybe. So HubSpot.
People get confused when it comes to tech.
Yeah. So HubSpot is a customer relationship management software, and a marketing software, and a service software in one. So the way I like to pitch this is, anytime that you interact with your customer, it should be through HubSpot. So you capture that data and you can segment based on that data and give either a better service, or do cross-selling, or rank customers into lists where they're VIP customers or something. Really manage the relationship between you and your customer.
And what type of businesses would use it?
So businesses that every business needs this type of software, and they usually have 3 or 4 different softwares that don't speak to each other, right? So they have the best in class kind of service management is probably Zendesk. They might have Salesforce, and they might have Marketo, which is like a marketing platform. So what HubSpot does is takes the kind of best pieces of all of that and shoves it in together and gives like a really good experience, kind of like a full circle experience. So the first time you reach out to a customer is through marketing, right? So they get to know you. The marketing leads to sales. Once we've sold them something, they're customers, then we have got the service part of the business that services them, make sure they're happy, right? If they're happy, we'll continue to market to them, and then they become customers again, buy more stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And obviously there's a large part of that is automation.
100%.
Think about the man hours that you'd have to put in, or people you'd have to employ to do all that work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the selling point.
It's a selling point. And also we're really trying to go up market right now, because we had this strategy of, and a lot of companies don't go for the strategy, and I think it's a good way to start off a business for the first 10 years, I think, right? So what we've done is we have had a huge amount of customers that are kind of mid-market, right? So if we lose a customer and we've got thousands and thousands of them, it doesn't really matter. Not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't have a huge impact on the bottom line. A lot of kind of new startups, what they struggle with is that they go too high end too early. So they'll have 60 enterprise customers, and they're servicing them, and then one of those customers leaves them, and they have a 20% gap in their revenue that year. So we've avoided that completely while we were growing, right? But now we've got new features. We're going up market, and we're really going for that kind of 1,000 people to 10,000 people company. That's kind of where our new thing is, and the type of partners that we're working with can help us to get there. So that's kind of where my kind of niche is. But like it's been a great week it's great kind of like 2 weeks learning like that and seeing what the possibilities are. And also like we've had to pivot our strategy a little bit as well. So that's maybe a lesson for SharkNation out there. Not to be too hard-headed, right? When you come up with a new plan, without getting too deep into the details, because I don't want to bore people with it. But the vision that we had for the program is completely different from when we started, and it's even bigger now, and it's bigger but more focused, right? So we're going to go wider with less partners, right? So that's gonna be a big change for us. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. If we can really get this, if we can be successful, the impact of this would be huge on the company. Do you know what I mean? And it's really going to put us on the map when it comes to the enterprise stuff. So super excited about that.
And what skill sets does that take on your behalf to make it work?
Do you know what? This is an interesting thing. I have been working too much in the process rather than on the process, right? One of my biggest skills is the hustle, the top of funnel, reaching out to people, trying to get those connections. I was really good at kind of finding these new partners, selling them the dream, going through all of the stuff that they wanted their strategy for next year, all that type of stuff. I'm great at that. That's been my thing, right? But now it's more of a management role, right? They're hiring people to work exclusively on HubSpot, and I'm trying to learn how to best get the best out of these guys, right? Without being a top of funnel person for each person, and kind of running around putting out fires, right? So for the first month of the year, I was kind of in the place where every day I came in, there was lots of emails. I was kind of putting out fires. I'm having meetings with marketing internally with HubSpot, kind of being an advocate for the program, all this type of stuff. And it really wasn't. My focus was too distributed, and at the end of the day, okay, I was saying to myself, okay, what did I actually get done today, right? So what I've done is I've blocked out time to do some deep work on each partner, right? So that's, if you look at my calendar now, I'm taking like 2 hour gaps, 3 hour gaps, and I'm saying, okay, this is the time dedicating that person. What's the priorities? What can we do in 3 hours to push this forward? Do you know?
Yeah.
Because instead of that kind of like just a whole day of just kind of like tapping at each partner, answering emails, getting back to people individually, just those blocks of time. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's funny because we were only talking about that yesterday. It's called batchworking, I think.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Same in the environment that we work in. You can be answering phones, you can be doing meetings, you can be replying to emails. Somebody could ask you something, and how many times you could get distracted? Probably 10 times in 1 minute.
Yeah,
you could be, and then so add all those minutes together, and it's just not effective. But it's part of the game. So it's how do you kind of beat the game in that way? And it is we all kind of agreed that it is batch working. Taking whether it's 1 hour to focus on something, whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours or a whole day.
Yeah,
like somebody might actually work from home for a whole day and go all in with whatever particular thing has to be done.
Yeah,
and it's something that a lot of companies won't allow because it in big companies it's harder to do, but smaller companies you can allow that flexibility. And if it works, we can test and see if it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I do think it works. It's a well-known enough concept. Batch working,
but it's a little bit scary to take that time out,
isn't it?
Get off Slack. Get off. Don't be looking at your email stuff. And there is some tools out there that you can use email with, and it blurs out your inbox. I think I need that.
Or you can get it for your phone for social media and stuff. You're not allowed to go. But I think if you haven't got the commitment or the mental strength to be able to just do it yourself, there's a problem there. You should be working on that. But I fully agree. But it's the little bit of guilt that creeps in going, oh God, I wonder if that person has emailed me in the last 2 hours. Yeah. And you just have to say, no.
Exactly.
Trust the process.
Yeah. And just let the
you get way more done.
You get way more, like, you get way more better work. Like I did I was doing the kind of the pitch for the German team that we're going over to meet. And when I was finished, I took kind of a couple of hours to really figure out what we want to say, and I want to be brief. I don't like long presentations. I want to be, it's going to be punchy, So, I was going to say Oliver Twist, but what's your man who wrote Oliver Twist?
Charles Dickens?
Was it Dickens? No.
I don't know.
I'm way off.
Anyway. Dahl, are you thinking?
No. Oliver Wilde. Or no.
Oscar Wilde.
Oliver Wilde doesn't make, I don't know who that is. Anyway. So
we're not very cultured here.
Yeah, exactly.
What about him anyway?
So he was saying that he has some letter that's famous where he says, like, I sorry for the long letter, but I didn't have time to write a short one.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of, it's hard to get that kind of consistency or condensedness.
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah. So I've been working on that, but I worked on this piece of work for about 2 hours, and I'm like, this is something that's going to really help the project if I can deliver this and get people bought in, all that type of stuff. I'm like, why don't I just focus on the big chunky bits, and then at the end of the day I say it's not just a tick box. I got into a little bit obsessed with the lists where I'm like, I'm making a ridiculous list in the morning of things that I can never get done, and then I'm getting that kind of panicking by the end of the day. I'm like, whereas it's an endless list, but
there's a skill to list making as well. I think it's like keep three priority, and then maybe 5 secondary, and then that's it.
I think I need to do that.
Carry over what's left the next day.
Yeah, and
I have a journal that does that for you.
I think I need to get a new journal anyway. I had a productivity journal that's almost out of thing, and it was like
the one I got you. Was it? I
think you got me that.
Yeah.
And it's like coffee stained, and I used it every day.
Yeah.
Because I don't like anything that a list for me or anything that's on the computer isn't as important if it's than something that's on paper.
Yeah.
Paper's real to me.
Yeah, still today. Same with me. We have, again, you have a CRM system and everything, but like my lists are all written down. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's funny though.
It's funny how it's maybe because it's something you can pick up, you can feel. It feels more important. It feels more like if I don't get this done, it's going to be looking at me.
Yeah,
I can just put down my laptop and doesn't.
Yeah. Did you ever try Evernote?
I did. It was part of our kind of stack, our tech stack when I started in HubSpot. We had to move off it because of GDPR stuff.
Oh really? Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just turned back on the computer or the thing. So I'm reading books. By reading, I mean I'm listening to. I'm not going to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So, one that you told me about, E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
So that one's about entrepreneurship, but it actually does apply to my business as well. So it was very interesting because it gives it's kind of a reality check on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
The difference between the perceived and the reality, and how to make sure that when you launch your business, you're in the right mindset and you're not just being the technician, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of breaks it up into 3 groups. One, the entrepreneur, who's the optimist, like thinks that like there's opportunities going begging, and we need to get on top of that. There's the manager who's doing the books, who's saying, okay, how do we do the contracts for all hiring these people? And then there's the technician who is making the cakes. Actually, that was that's the main
the bakery.
The bakery where this woman was the best cake maker or baker, and now when everyone told her to start a business, now she hates making cakes, like, because that's all she does. But then she has to do all the other stuff as well. So the message, the kind of takeaway that I had from the book was that you have to, when you're those 3 elements, everyone has those elements inside them, and they're going to be one more than the others, right? And he said most people are like technicians. So you were the best accountant. You started your own accountancy firm. That's why you did it. But now you're spending all your time doing accounts and not doing anything else. So the takeaway was sit down with your business partner or whatever, look into all of the activities that you're doing, right? And then build a job spec for those activities, and then write the contracts for those. You might not have the money to employ people to do that now, but build out that structure to say, okay, when we're ready, I'm doing this. I'm the person who is the head of marketing right now, and these are all the tasks I do. We're going to have to hire somebody in the future for that role. And I thought this was a really interesting idea. So I started thinking about this for my own business, right? Because right now I'm doing marketing, I'm doing admin, I'm working with the operational team in HubSpot, I'm working with the direct sales team. I'm doing everything, right? But if I want this to be a real part of the business, if I want this to be, I think this could be a huge part of the business, right? But it will never be a huge part of the business if it's just me. There's not enough hours in the day. I run out of time. I can't believe it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, I'm like, how did this happen? You know?
And each of those 3 areas are parts of the entrepreneur or the business are all conflicting.
100%.
So we're talking about batchwork, and how are you supposed to be them all in the 1 hour? It's impossible. It's like 3 people shouting at each other, you know? So they all think different.
So if we flip that onto what you guys are doing, when you are doing your business, I'd say you're probably more head of marketing. That's kind of something that or am I way off?
I am. Yeah, well, I would have mostly built the website, and I do all the branding and the social media. And
head of what?
What else is it? Yeah. Technically, yeah.
Do you look at way?
Yeah.
So in that, do you think there's any benefit in you guys maybe sitting down, thinking about the business like that 5 years from now, saying, okay, we're doing all this type of stuff. This is the structure that we have to do if it's going to be something that we can sell for X amount, you know?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think every business should have a good marketer, depending on the size, you know.
Yeah.
It's handy to have those skills as an entrepreneur. It is handy.
Yeah.
They are all conflicting, the 3 things that we talked about, but you can get off the ground by having those skill sets. Like knowing like Photoshop and knowing digital marketing and how to use social media is a great skill set, but you can't just do that forever. Yeah. You know, like it's not maintainable, so or sustainable. So like Niall would be he'd be more the business development side of things, and he doubles down on that, you know. I'd be more probably the manager. Like if you're looking at those 3 separate things, I'd be more managing structure, systems, you know.
What part of the business do you hate doing? There must be not hate's the wrong word, because you're living the dream, we know. But like,
I love it all, to be honest. Like what? No, and then there's the technical bit is actually recruiting. So, but we all business develop. We all do a bit of management of everything, and then we all recruit. So we're all kind of doing a bit. But as a business gets bigger, there's a lot of recruitment companies would have a digital marketer employed, and that's all they do. And some business owners wouldn't recruit, you know, and they'd oversee everything. So maybe you could take yourself out of that. But then you're taking money off the top line then as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing that worries me as well, because there's something that I love being involved in. I love building deals. Yeah. I love that. This week I was working really, a lot of my partners, they kind of want to do their own thing and they don't want too much input. I think they're they're thrown away an enthusiast on deals.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
today or this week I was working on a deal with one of my partners and getting excited about building, being creative with the software. You know, this is how we're going to pitch this, all that type of stuff. I love that, and I think that's where I can add the most value is in the deal making, the deal building, the compelling future that we can build around the software, all that type of stuff. That's where I can really add value. And I think that I've been too, like, that's too much of my value for my position.
Yeah.
Right? That I'm that's what I want to focus on all the time, right?
Well,
and I
you
don't
should double down on what you're good at.
That's what I mean.
But you're only able to double down on what you're good at is if there's enough people around you to do the other things.
Exactly. So dealing with like admin stuff, even like the onboarding, it's not something I'm passionate about. I just want these guys to get up and going, and getting people to compelling people within the organization to buy into what I'm trying to do. I don't enjoy that as much as actually working on deals, but that's actually building the program.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do in that case. Do I say, okay, I don't want to get involved in deals? Because if I do get involved in deals, that's half the day gone. I'm happy. The partner will have a better deal, but the program, or I didn't reach out to marketing this day because of that, or I'm not working on the little bits that are the machinery. You know?
I think starting anything is tough, and it's tough because you have to do everything, and it just takes more hours in the day. Once you prove the concept and it gets going, that's when you just have to bring in more. You bring in someone else.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
that's
the
simple as. Or you outsource. You know, if you're a small business, you outsource to somebody that's works remotely for you to do your admin or whatever it is. And there's people in Ireland, and there's people and it's great for them. You know, people who maybe have families and can do admin type work or marketing type work for several different businesses from home.
Love that.
That's brilliant. And then in the Philippines, obviously, you have companies over there
and listeners.
Yeah. Well,
maybe they're looking for a job. Maybe they reach
outsource,
out.
whether it's designing or whatever. And websites like Fiverr and stuff like that, you can outsource it that way. But if you're going to take it serious, you probably should bring in somebody junior, you know, and keep them close to you, and they can grow with the business then. Okay,
interesting. So, as we we're still proving concept with this new thing. So I'm not going to get the resources to build out the team.
Yeah.
But I think it might be worthwhile for me to actually work out what the organization would need in my little org, person-wise, and the skills that we need. So I'm going to work on that this week, just have that in mind, right?
It goes back to the batch focusing thing. It's all about focus. So if you focus on what you're good at, and if you can extract what's distracting you, and then batch that into somebody else to do that, it just makes sense.
100%. Yeah. So that was an interesting book. Do you know what I read? Right. So I want to read old good books. Does that make sense? So stuff
like
the Bible, the Quran that you brought up at my wedding that you found that I was reading one day. And
you're not biased anyway. You read them all.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to cover my bases when it comes to that. But I'm trying to get. So there's books out there that people read, the new fad, the new thing, right?
Yeah.
The new management technique, whatever, right? It's always something new coming out. I wanted to start to read books that have stood the test of time, that have been around for. I want to read some old shit.
Yeah.
But that's still good shit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, like music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The kind of classics, right? So I started to read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've read it.
It's from the 1930s, early 1930s. So it's just after the kind of booming 20s and stuff like that. So this guy Napoleon Hill used to hang out with like Carnegie and all the absolute ballers. You know, we're talking big time people. You know,
the forefathers of that kind of positive thinking and how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah, he used to hang out with he did actually hang out with Dale Carnegie, who you're speaking of, but actually like the Carnegie Hall Carnegie.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy who owns all the steel. Okay. And all, you know.
Yeah.
Like the big families, the Vanderbilts and all in America.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What do they call the the barons, like the people, like the Rockefellers and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it was, so I started reading it, right? Or I started listening to it, and it's about 7 hours long. So it's not a huge amount of time to invest for the value that you get out of it. But it's read by a real kind of old school guy as well. So it could put people off. It's not as sensitive, some of the things that are said in it.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know.
Insensitive
to stuff like, gender, race.
Okay,
all that
really?
stuff.
Yeah. Some of them get quite religious as well.
There is a little bit of that as well. So we're not, but you just like my mother says, just take what you want and leave the rest.
Yeah.
But there's so much good stuff in there. One thing that
didn't Bruce Lee say that? Take what you want and leave the rest.
Yeah, so I think Bruce Lee, Geraldine Curry. I mean, come on. I think Jared said that. I don't know.
Bruce Lee says it as well, I think.
Sorry, I'm going to call you out then. Here's you win or you learn. That was Nelson Mandela that said that. And you were like, I don't know if Niall said that or I said that first.
Loads of people say that. I didn't claim to own that.
Okay.
Copywritten it.
Okay, whatever. Okay, cool. All right. So this Napoleon Hill book, an amazing, amazing book. So he's taken all this this knowledge of hanging out with the most successful people in the world and just kind of condensed it into a book that's super actionable. That's the biggest thing for these kind of business books. Sometimes it's like a concept,
high level, yeah.
But this is really like what you need to do, and it's really, I think, it's all about kind of the first step is visualize, right? So it kind of, some of the bits sound a bit corny, where you're like, okay, in the morning, read out your mission statement out loud twice. What your desire is, right? So you have to really want something,
okay,
right? And you have to put a lot of energy into the wanting. So it's not enough just to say, oh, I would love to be, I want my recruitment business to have 100 recruiters in 5 years. That's not enough. That's not enough. You have to want it, like, So a lot of the stuff he was talking about was visualization, right? And the visualization thing is something that we don't really talk about, and they don't teach in schools, or they don't. And it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you can't see it, you can't be it. Like, so it always goes back to this this image that I have from Pumping Iron.
Yeah.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary. I don't know if it's completely real, but it's like there's
it's real to me. God damn it.
Yeah, it's been a real big impact if that's what you're trying to do. But at one stage, he's talking about how he keeps focused, and he's kind of talking over while he's working out, and he does a set, and he stands up and he's looking in the mirror and he's chewing gum, and he looks like he's crazy, like. And I think that's what he's visualizing. That doesn't matter what he does, like it's moving towards something. So many people go to work every day and they don't visualizing 5 years down the road at all. So it's just this malaise where it's just I'll go.
In fact, they're probably trying not to think of it at all. Trying to think of something else.
Boom, SharkNation.
Yeah.
What, like? Let's expand on that. What do you mean? Like, so they're saying?
Well, they're on the bus and they're listening to music or whatever it is, or a podcast to take, because they can't bear thinking about what they're going in to do.
Yeah.
Hundreds
of people, like a lot of people.
Yeah,
like that,
unfortunately. Yeah.
And then they're saying, okay, they actually worry about 5 years down the line instead of visualizing that positive, thing in their life, or, where they're going to be, right? So he talks about then feeling what it feels like already to have what you're looking for. So when you're thinking about it, actually feel like you have it. And this is one of the things that he was saying about, like, I don't know if it was Rockefeller, one of those really big guys. When he was coming up, he always acted like he was already there. Yeah. And that was a big thing. Conor McGregor as well.
I was just going to say that. He said all those things, yeah. He must have read that book, I'd say,
yeah. And then he goes into, like, it gets a little bit weird here, and this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He talks about, all right, listen, right? SharkNation, are you listening out there? I know this is not something that I'm telling you to do, but it's just something that he was talking about, and I don't understand it really, and I read it a couple of times. All right, went back. All right, so it talks about energy, all right?
Okay.
So we all have energy, right?
Yeah.
Where we spend that, or how we get that kind of peak energy.
Yeah.
For instance, on Friday, the energy that I had in work was through the roof, and I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I came into work and I was like buzzing to get going, right?
Some people say it's because of sleep, but I can't see any difference between when I get a good night's sleep and when I go to bed late the next day. It's mindset will create way more energy than
Mark,
sleep.
you've got these shark eyes that are just dead. What would you be talking about? Everyone, like, I don't need sleep, don't need food, like, and you don't even get hungry. Like, you're not like you don't need to eat. I would say, like,
Not really.
cyborg over here. just keep moving forward. Because I know you probably sleep a lot less than a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely do. There was a sleep expert on Joe Rogan, and he kind of scared me because he was like, some people say, "Oh, I don't need that much sleep. I'm just one of those people." Well, he said, like, the percentage of population that don't need that much sleep, like I would say, I could probably easily survive in 4 or 5 hours, and I have done with 2 kids that never slept that well.
Yeah.
Because I'd be up late painting and stuff like that as well. But and he said it's like 0.0000001% of the population,
And the
don't
chances of you being that is
yeah. But my brother's the same, and so
I don't sleep a lot. I like to get up early. It's the thing of like like the guys in the gym that I was talking about when you're leaving. Like, I don't know where this came into my mind, but if I wake up and it's 11 o'clock or something, I just feel like I've wasted the day. Every day is so important to me.
Yeah.
So I know you have to sleep, right? But it's just interesting that you're like, I don't sleep. Like, what did 50 Cent say? Sleep is for those people who are broke. I don't sleep.
Did you say that? Yeah. Or was that me?
I think it was you or Nelson Mandela. Big up Nelson. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so the point of this is one of the energy things. He said how to tap into more energy, right? And he said every like really successful person that he's been around has had this kind of this drive, all right? And he says that is it's a sexual energy.
Excuse me?
Sexual energy.
Go back over and say that again to me.
So he calls it sexual transmutation. That's the name of the section. And I don't understand what he means. He's like, tap into, so don't just want
testosterone.
Yeah, he said he's testosterone, but he's actually, I think he's talking about like the way that men and women are driven.
Like a primal drive.
Yeah, tap into the primal drive.
Okay.
And say, okay, it's not just enough it's the next level. He said that's the difference between people who desire something. So desire.
Okay, no, that kind of makes sense.
Do you think that?
Yeah, but
freaked me out. I don't know.
No, but if you think of it, strip it right back to primal thinking and behavior. We hunt, we gather, we reproduce.
Yeah. And
carry on your genes, and you try to stay alive. Yeah. Yeah, you play and interact and stuff like that, and you raise your kids. But they're all quite basic stuff that just comes naturally. Yeah. So, like, if you saw your kid walking across the road and a car coming, like, the energy you'd have is a primal instinct to save the child. Yes. So if he's saying heart, I don't know why he has to say sexual, because he could have used that analogy I just used there. Yeah. But I understand if that's what he means. That means that pure drive to reproduce. Yeah. Yeah. It's like tapping into, it's kind of going into the kind of primal. He talks a lot about it's a great book. People need to get onto this book. Yeah. He didn't like lose his mind in his later years, around, did he? I mean, it was a sad ending. No, it's not. But he talks a lot about the subconscious mind, and this is something that was popular a long time ago. It's less popular now, but I think you can, like, he's basically saying, be careful what you feed into your mind. And a lot of the stuff going on right now with the kind of politics in Ireland and politics generally. The coronavirus. About the stuff, because your subconscious mind doesn't know. It just kind of just takes the information and deals with it. He talks about, this is another nugget. And that's pre-Facebook. That's pre-Facebook. Pre-Twitter. Pre-everything. This is like... But that's all coming at you. It's all coming at you. Yeah. So it's even worse now. It's even more important to filter out that stuff, right? Yeah. I know nothing about the coronavirus. I honestly don't need to know. Yeah. I don't think yet. And until I think I do, I won't listen to it. It's pointless. It's all come and go. Like, it's terrible, but like we're in Dublin. Exactly. So let's just keep on keeping on. But I was going to say, so one of the other nuggets in this was, and this is something that I've been using in everyday life. Do you ever read a book and you're like, that's something that's changed? That's changed what we're doing. It's reinforced what I already believe, and I don't want to change my mind. Okay, so these guys, he's saying, so every time you have a negative feeling, right? Remember that during the week, we probably have
4 or 5 times where we're like feeling a bit bad about something, right? He said anytime there's any type of negative feeling, it comes from a list of fears that you're having. And all you have to do to feel better is to figure out which fear that it's tapping into and then rationalize and say, obviously, that's not something that I have to worry about, right? I'll give you an example. One of the big fears is fear of poverty.
Yeah.
Right? That every human has, that they won't have enough, right?
Yeah.
So this guy says, okay, the next time you're feeling bad at work, so say if I lost a deal or something and I feel bad about that, without thinking about it or without analyzing that feeling, that can kind of echo for the rest of the day. You know, you're thinking about what I could have done, you know, all that type of stuff. Yeah. Right? So that's a real feeling. If what I've been doing is if I have something like that, I think to myself, okay, what's the fear that's driving this? And then if it's the fear of poverty, I go, I'm not going to be poor because of this. So I don't have to feel that anymore. And it works for me.
So is there a list of top 5 fears or something? There's a list of 7.
Okay. Yeah.
What are they?
I don't know them all off by heart, but the one is
Shay has none.
Has no fear. He never feels bad. I actually believe him. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of bought into that. I'm like, yeah.
He really thought about it. He's like, no.
Yeah.
No fear.
But he does have these fears. He's a human.
Yeah.
I'm not, he's like,
maybe he's alleviated a lot of them by working hard.
And he doesn't live there. He doesn't live in fear. But like one of the other fears is the fear of loss of love, right? So if you're feeling bad, like over an argument you're having or something with your loved one, and you can bring that back and say, okay, I'm really just fear that I'm feeling bad because I'm afraid that it's not going to work out, but it is. Yeah. Or you can say you can get to the fear, and then after that you're fine. It's a really relief thing, because it's like it takes the thing of just being kind of a slave to the way you feel. And it's a management system. Say, okay, what's that about? And then you can just, it's pragmatic.
Get in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, you can just...
if they're irrational, they're quite irrational, actually. Yeah.
They're all, like, it's so comfortable.
Well, everybody's different stages of their life and wealth and all that, but...
Yeah. But I mean...
a lot of the time.
And if you're homeless, I'm not talking about people that are not...
Yeah.
That, they don't have enough to just basic stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about the vast majority of people in modern countries. Yeah. There's not much that you should be afraid of. Yeah. You know? But it's kind of a...
What's all this got to do with sexual energy?
Just sexual energy. Do you know what I mean? No, it means sexual transmutation, right? So it's being attracted, sexually to your goals. I told my wife about that, and she's told me to stop listening to that book. Like, I was like, yeah, I need to. I don't know what to do with that information,
And is that a large part of the book?
No, it's very small. But I don't know, it just made an impact on me. Like,
just
because it's so strange. Most of the book is like it's quite long winded. Yeah. But there's so much out of it that you need to kind of tap into, right? But anyway, so that was the book. I would recommend that to anyone. I know there's
a book about mindset and psychology.
Yeah.
Because the think part of it. It's not just Think and Grow Rich. It's a great title.
Yeah.
But it's not the secret. He's not talking about the secret.
No, he's not talking about the secret at all, because one of the biggest part of the books, like a thick part of the book, is about the planning.
Yeah.
And how you got to plan. So as in, like, your goal, your desire now is to get to the next level of that plan.
I'd love to write a book that does not go into the high level mindset at all to do. What I am interested in that, but just write practical steps.
Yeah. Why don't we write a book? I'll do the sexual transmutation part, right? I'm not there yet. I have no attraction to my goals. I don't know how that would work. Gross. Okay. And then you do the nuts and bolts. But I'll tell you why. The nuts and bolts, I don't know if that's going to be a big seller. Because
it should be, though.
It should be.
A manual.
And I'm not, that's not a criticism. I'm just saying, generally speaking, manuals are the most important books.
But people don't read them because they know they're going to have to do it. Work. That's the problem. They're going to have to put the work in.
Yes, exactly.
It's like someone telling them to do stuff,
Yeah. It's like the 4-hour work week is a manual of how to do, how to disconnect from working in 2008.
Yeah.
Probably not now, but like, I'm not going to take out an ad in a magazine.
Yeah. But
the
4-hour work week was quite close to to a manual.
Yeah.
That's why the audiobook of that, someone was reading it or listening to it the other day. I said, no, get the...
Yeah, because it has like worksheets in it and stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta, anyway. But so the most important thing is to be attracted to your goals. It's not actually. The most important thing is to have a plan. So whatever happens, you've got this kind of the biggest thing, and you've had this as your business, and I'm trying to have that with my kind of like a little part of the business that I'm building. You've got to have the vision. So every day, you know why you're doing something. This is the vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to have the plan, like a plan to get there. A lot of people don't have. I need a better plan, as in a more concise plan. I'm only planning kind of a month out. I need to plan 2 years of what like little milestones we need to hit.
Yeah.
Do you
You
know
should
what I mean?
have a tree. It's probably a 3-year
Kind of map of where we're going with this.
with numbers in it, you know, and then reassess every year, and have a 1-year one, and then reassess every year.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I might take that. This is great. This is why we do the podcast as well, because I've got action steps that I'm going to take in my life.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody will be listening to this. Maybe one of the sharks out there in SharkNation.
Not enough shark puns today.
Not a lot of shark puns. We kind of
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing. I think we need to keep the branding strong.
Yeah.
So I've got my SharkPod. This is so we're gonna kind of wrap up pretty soon. But there was a couple of things that I wanted to just go some housekeeping that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. We've also.
So remember this. One of the big things about the podcast is you and I wanted to get together in a room once a week and keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 month of the year is already in the bag. It's in the can. We can't do anything about it, right? We had our goals, and I want to make sure that I'm continuing to be accountable to those, right? So just to break out a few places where I think I've done well, and a few kind of big gaps that I need to work on in February, right? One of the goals that I had was to manage my weight in a good way. I've hit my kind of primary goal with that, as in if I stayed where I am now, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's only February, so there's lots of room for improvement, but I'm pretty happy with that, right? So I need to maintain that till the end of the year, and then that's done. Starting the podcast was a big part of that, and to be honest, a lot of my spare time kind of went into the learning how to editing.
Yeah.
And I'm not making excuses, but it did that. I underestimated the amount of time I had to put in to make sure that we got a minimum viable product, right? And we're still learning, we're still getting better every week. But it's important that I continue with that.
Yeah. People, look, you can do too much as well.
Yeah.
Which I get told on a regular basis by people, but so that's a learning thing as well.
Yeah.
Maybe people, and that's how people fail in their goals and give up on everything altogether, their New Year's resolutions, because they make it either too hard or too many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other one was the Irish. For some reason, my learning of Irish has fallen off a cliff. I'm just not putting the effort in. I'm not immersed in the culture like I was. I feel a little bit like, because I'm not in a course right now, I think that's a big thing for me. I need to have some time of the week where I'm going to meet up with other people that are learning.
Yeah.
That I have a little bit of homework to do. Do you know that kind of way?
Well,
I'm drifting.
Some people say that the Irish language is not very practical to try use. No, some people say it. Look, whether it's you can't say that about any language really, but and is that, and would probably that would be justifying their point, is that there's nobody around to speak it to in
general,
your life in Greystones, in Dublin city centre, for you as a 30-year-old or whatever working man in Dublin city.
I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Yeah, because
I think that's an excuse, because there is a huge amount of people that I could be speaking to. For instance,
then why aren't you?
There's a guy in work. He only slacks me in Irish. I could go just have lunch with him.
Okay, well I didn't
Do you
know
know
that. Yeah.
There's a meetup every month. In more than that. In like pop-up Gael talks all over Dublin. There's like a meeting circle here in Greystones, and one of the pubs every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Where everyone speaks Irish. Do you know? I could, and my wife.
I was just gonna say, you've no excuse actually.
I know. I mean, my wife used to do Day Downick where we spoke Irish on Sundays. We don't do that anymore.
I remember the frustrated phone calls when you're trying to organise something quickly.
And Katie showing up for me at the wrong place and stuff because I refused to speak English, but I couldn't speak Irish. So, so my point is, it's easy to. It's more that I'm not prioritizing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think I just need to kind of get something in the diary that's every week to kind of focus my mind on a little bit because weeks go by. And also, I used to have I have an app on my phone that I have flashcards on, and it's spaced repetition. It's been incredible, right? But I missed it for a few weeks, and now it's 500 plus cards that I have to get through, and it's like a mountain. I'm like, oh no, I don't have time to go through 500 cards, so I need to maybe just reset that.
At what stage do you have to stop refreshing? Can you not just? You can go a year without doing much, and you still have it. Like
I still have it. I can, like, when Katie is sometimes when she's talking about a story from work, she'll go in and out of English and Irish when she's doing the parts.
Yeah.
When she's redoing the parts, and I understand absolutely.
And then
everything.
she said, and then he said,
yeah, exactly. And then especially when she's giving out to kids, it's so funny. But so I still have that, but it's the actual speaking. You need practice, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's like anything. So I'm gonna try to work on that as well. One of the big things that I've been disappointed with so far has been the merch by Amazon. I haven't putting any time in that. I need to get that going, right? So we're talking about, I kept on putting in like a half an hour to have a look at this and all that in my calendar. But I think I need to do some batch work on that. Take like a Sunday afternoon.
You do, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get it up and running, because it's something that I've always wanted to have, that kind of that passive income element, and it's something that I've talked about on the podcast and all that type of stuff. So let's put some batching in there and hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
It would have been easy for me never to mention that again on the podcast, but now people that listen to this, I want people to listen to this to come up to me and say, "Hey, where's your t-shirts? How's the merch going?" Because it will keep me in line, right?
Yeah, I suppose it's going back to the batching thing again.
Deep work.
And I hope we're using the right term. If I'm to use an analogy with my painting, like, I don't have 10 paintings on the go and keep doing a brush stroke on each. I'd never get anything done. I have to go all in with one.
Mark, that is SharkNation. You listen to this out there. That's a gem from the Shark original here. So say that again. Let's nail that down.
So me as an artist, I always have something on the go, on the easel, so to speak.
Yeah.
One painting. Maybe I'll have another one that I kind of dipping in and out of. I don't know, but one or two. I don't have, and while I'm actually painting, I can easily spend 4 hours without getting up off my seat to go to the toilet. Even you just get into a flow state. I think we talked about that before. But I can't get into a flow state or a concentration state, whatever you want to call it, by doing a brush stroke on 10 different paintings at the one time. One after another, or a minute on each. It does not work like that. Yeah. You have to focus in, especially with anything creative, I suppose, whether it's music or painting. I focus on the one thing for 4 hours. Yeah. And I create something.
It's worth something then. It's very hard to do little bits and have anything worth anything at the end. Yeah. That's I think that's going to be the theme of this podcast. Deep work is focus on the deep work. Focus on what would you say? What would be the takeaway there? Kind of like spend more time doing, dedicate more time to one task.
Yeah, or just batch work.
Batch
mindset.
Batch mindset.
The baker's batch loaf. Sorry.
But yeah. Okay, cool. So there's a few. We could talk all day. We're over an hour already.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to talk about next week, we're gonna have another guest next week anyway. But there is something that I've noticed, because I've listened to the podcast as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I've noticed there's a little bit of this creep of the Americanness into the mindset of go-getters in Ireland, and I know why, because it's the only outlet we have to get information about that type of lifestyle. Right, so it's the Grant Cardones, it's the people who are really getting after it.
Yeah,
and we're asking people, and I asked you this as well, so this isn't something that is that's outside of this room.
Yeah.
But I asked, when we're asking people, when do you want to retire, and they're afraid to retire because they don't have any. If they don't have, everyone says, "Oh no, I don't really want to. What would I do? Like I don't want to retire.
Yeah.
I'll never retire." And that's a kind of a cool soundbite. But I think there's something that people need to think about. What is the life that you're trying to live at some stage in the future?
Yeah.
It goes back to that kind of the Tim Ferriss dreamlining, where you have to think about like what you want to have, what you want to be. So if you want to be a great cook, if you want to be a great speaker of languages, whatever, and what you want to do, right? So when I ask people when they want to retire, I think it taps into a fear that I'll run out of money at some stage. It's a fear of poverty again.
Yeah.
That's what when I ask people that, or it's a fear of these people don't think I'm all in.
Well, they think the money's intrinsically linked to their actions.
Yes.
And then if you stop moving, like you're going to stop making money.
Yeah.
Whereas you should be really, like if you're a doctor or whatever, like you have to do the act to make the money in a way. But you should also try to create something to be the vehicle to make money for you, and that could be any kind of business that if you built and sold the business, or it could be property, or it could be passive income, or it could be a pension. And that's the problem, because a pension is linked to the manual labor that you have to put in to get the pension. So
it's all very. It's
that's
hard.
probably not something that you should overly focus on. Pensions. People stay in jobs because it's a good pension. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine this week about that. And he was thinking of things, and he was like, "But it's a great pension." I said, "Stop that mindset. Stop thinking about that." And he was like, "Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I understand."
It's so interesting because I think it's actually a lack of time that they've put into thinking about what they really want to do with their life. Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying. So if you gave me 100 million right now, like, and people would say, there's some people we're going to encounter on this journey when we're talking to people, and they're going to be like, I'd never retire. I've got to keep going, stuff like that, because that's the mindset they have to have every day to get out in the morning and make things happen, right?
Yeah.
But they think that if they take the foot off the gas and really think about a life where they wouldn't have to do that all the time, that it takes the edge away. That's what I think, right? So for me, if you gave me 100 million, I'd never work again, and I would make sure that I would do things that had as much excitement, as much love, as much impact as possible. But I could retire tomorrow, 100%. I'd do adventures. I'd cycle across France. I'd, spend way more time with family. I'd do stuff for the community. I would there's so much stuff that you can spend your days, and we spend so much of it working. When people say, I'll never retire, I'm like, it's crazy.
You should be looking forward to retiring. For me, it's put it simply, I'd be creating things if I had to stop actually working. And I'm creating a business, I'm creating stuff.
So you tap into that anyway.
Yeah, so I'm tapping into that anyway. But what I would definitely do is, say if you gave me 100 million, I would create probably different little businesses, or create paintings, create stuff. That's what I do.
Okay, so you'd still,
because what takes you away from creating sometimes is having to put work.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that I thought when I was listening back to the podcast, that we need to make sure that all the sharks out there that are listening, you got to have an end goal in mind, and it can't just be a certain number. It has to be what you're doing, what you're spending your hours doing. Like a great way to do this is to say, okay, if I had $100 million, what would I do every day? Who would I see every day? What would be the activities to fill those days? And kind of I aim for that. And there's nothing to stop your friend who's obsessed with his pension taking a year off and going to do something that he always wanted to do. And you're looking at me like that's kind of crazy, but he's only going to be 35 once, and he can do that now, or he can do it when he's 55, when he might have some sort of illness. There's no guarantee that he'll even get to 65.
I told him, I said, it's funny, I sent that actual message to him. I said, there's no guarantee you'll get 65.
And in fact, if you I was going to say likely actually is if he's over 30, he's actually likely to get to 65. But
yeah, I just said there's no guarantee. It's just again, it's a mindset thing. It's a bit.
You could be on a helicopter in California, and with your child. You know, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And he has all the money in the world. It's not going to stop that, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of bringing the kind of excitement of things in your life rather than just always on the treadmill. You know, always thinking about I'll have to work until the end of time, and taking that sexual energy and fucking going after something that you really want to do. And we're going to end on that note.
And that's the last podcast we ever did.
They're coming to get Luke now. He's lost his mind. He's staring at his list now with the lust that he's going to get after it. But as usual, Shark Nation, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. This is something that's really taking off, and we're delighted that we have this kind of community that we're building. We're delighted that we have lots and lots of guests who want to get on the podcast. If you do have any feedback for us, please leave a comment under any of the iTunes stuff or where you get your podcasts. Also, if you guys want to reach out to me with any feedback, you can reach us at luke@shark.ie. Spread the word, keep on going, and also make sure that you're out there and you're making your batches.